G'day, Ben from Duck Playing Chicken here with a new build series. This time back to the Yamato 2202 universe and building the 1/1000 Space Battleship Yamato by Bandai. Now normally I build the smaller mecha collar kits. This is my first 1/1000 scale kit of the Yamato series, so really looking forward to this one. I would have liked to have built one of the earlier versions, but this was the only one I could sort of get my hands on, so 2202 it is. Now this obviously contains a kit of the Yamato itself, but it also contains another kit of the Unagi, and it's a mecha collar version. I don't normally sort of show the details on the box, but this one's a little bit different. If I turn it over and put it up the right way, you'll see it actually comes with a little mecha collar Unagi kit, and you can cut out the box and it's got all the fold lines and everything in there to create it. Now given that it's got the number 00 for mecha collar, that suggests to me that this was never actually released as a standalone model. It might have been, it might have been the same sprue that was done for a previous version, but not for the 2202. I'm not quite sure. When I have a look at the sprues, I'll get a better idea. But yeah, kind of interesting. So it does include two kits. I won't be building the Unagi as part of this build series. I'm just going to be building the Yamato itself. The Unagi I'll do another time. Alright, so let's have a look at what's in the box. Now I've removed, in typical Bandai fashion, all the sprues are bagged separately in most cases. So I've taken all the sprues out of the bags, but at least you know that they do come all bagged. So the first sprue is this black sprue, where you've obviously got the base, you've got the stands that go on the base, and a few other sort of smaller details that I have no idea what they belong to, but you get one black sprue. So you get a number of these sprues that are in this blue-grey colour, and so we can see, there's sort of some details from the hull. We've got the bridge, lots of other sort of smaller details there. We've got sort of sections of the top half of the hull, and I mean, typical Bandai fashion, you can sort of see the detail that's baked into these kits. Great panel lines, lots of detail, lots of really small parts, lots to sink my teeth into. Okay, we get some of the turret details, looks like some of the guns, and more details. Looks like the deck, part of the deck. And here we have some more deck parts. So again, sort of level of detail you get on these kits is just fantastic. We've got some of the fins. You also get, it looks like, two of the little Cosmo fighters. I'm not sure how many of those you get in the kit, but there's two of them there, a few of the guns. It looks like get duplicate of that sprue, so we get, looks like 4 of the fighters. And the last of the sort of dark blue-grey, you get 2 of these, which is all the guns, all the cannons, all side cannons. They are tiny, they're going to be a lot of fun to sort of clean up and cut out and clean up. So, get 2 of those. What I do like is that they've sort of moulded them in a way so that they're kind of protected, so that when they're sort of flat, they, and they're sort of stacked together. Bandai have thought about that, because obviously there's a lot of fine detail there that you don't want breaking off. Alright, then we get a couple of this red coloured sprues. So obviously the bottom part of the hull. And then we get this one with the silly environmental wings, whatever they're called. I never did like these things. I won't be building a version with these things hanging off it. I think it kind of looks a bit silly. You do get a couple of clear sprues. Now, a lot of these are sort of light pipes. This kit is sort of built for lighting, and you get sort of clear orange and then just a clear sprue for all the lighting details. But what they also include is 2 of these LED units, which I'm not a fan of. I do appreciate the fact that Bandai is sort of thinking about builders who aren't au fait with electronics, but I still think this is the wrong way of doing it. The fact that you've got to open up the model to turn these things on seems really silly to me, so goodbye, won't be using those at all. I haven't taken this out of the bag. This is the Unagi kit. Let me see if I can see a date on this. 2014, so it would have been a previous version of this kit. It wasn't one specifically done for the 2202 series, I don't think. Okay, so that'll be a build for another time. You get a number of foil stickers which are for the base, which is kind of nice. I don't know if I'll be using them or not. It's nice they give you that option for the nameplate on the base. They give you a number of water slide decals. So of course there's only sort of a few markings on the Yamato, so it makes sense that there's not a lot of decals. But the other thing that they do include is water slide decals for the Unagi kit, which is great. So I always appreciate water slide decals for those Mecha Collar kits. So that's good. I need to remember that, hang on to those. And last but not least is the instruction booklet. So it's the usual sort of Bandai affair. You know, you get the list of the sprues, you get the do's and don'ts. You start off by making the stand, and also it looks like they've got a whole lot of section of the instructions that are dedicated to the lighting stuff. So we've got continuing building the hull. They have a separate lighting unit which, yes, has to be purchased separately. So this is for the engine, I believe, and yeah, it's sort of just a battery box with two LEDs that come on the back, but you do have to buy that separately. I really wouldn't bother. I think that's probably a really expensive way of doing it. But I guess if you're not into electronics, then that's, you know, at least there's an option there, I guess. Now, what is interesting about this kit is that they looks as though it's made in sort of sections that are, you know, joined together, which is an interesting way of doing it. And I suspect a lot of that is because of the way they've set up the lighting in it. A nice colour spread on all the sort of details of the kit. So they talk about the lighting of the wave motion gun, yeah, details of the bridge, and we've got sort of the fighters, some more sort of details. They talk about some of the, you know, list the main characters. So it's a nice little addition to the instructions. And we continue on to the deck and the bridge. It all looks pretty straightforward. You know, not a lot of stuff in here that I think is going to be overly complicated. I think it's more just going to be fiddly, especially with some of the sort of small guns. Right, so we get the idea of what's going on here. Lots of little guns and lots of little fins and stuff to stick on. We've got the fighter catapults in the back here. And then they talk about the stand and the optional parts for the wings, the environmental wings. They talk about how to turn on, you know, what bits you have to remove from the model. You have to sort of remove the whole top section and then flick on the switch to turn it on and then put it all back together. So that's not really that flash. I don't think it'd be nicer to have a switch in the actual stand. Then we have the colour call out and we have the decal guide. So nice colour, you know, all views there, which is good. So what I plan to do for this kit is to light it myself. I'm going to do a whole dedicated episode to just the lighting of this kit because there's some things that I want to do that's, you know, possibly incorporate an Arduino and sort of take you through step by step how to do it. So if anyone's got the kit and wants to sort of do some electronic stuff, they can follow step by step. First step for me is to remove all the parts from the sprues, clean them up, and then start the assembly. So I think this video will be predominantly the assembly of the kit and point out any kind of areas that I need to deal with as far as lighting goes. So I've got a lot of bits to cut off the sprues and clean up in preparation for assembly. Time to start the initial assembly of the kit, and just to sort of give you a bit of background of how I go about this process. I use these sort of containers with dividers in them, and basically I'll break it up into each step or a series of steps. So I take all the parts off the sprue, I clean them up, sand them, and make sure they're ready to go. So throughout this process, that's where I'm getting my pieces from. I sort of lay them out, and that's how I do my initial assembly. It just makes life a lot easier for me. So let's start with the first step, which is the stand. Okay, so on the stand, it's just made up of sort of 3 pieces. The actual base itself, they have an area here for the nameplate, so that is this foil sticker, and you get a number of choices there that you can apply to that nameplate, which is good. And it's just basically made of 2 little stand pieces. There is a left and right, and it's keyed, so can't get it around all the way. Now, of course, I'm going to light this kit, and I want to have it USB powered, so at a later date I am going to be doing some modification to this particular stand. I don't mind the stand itself. It's got a few extra holes in it that I'm not sure what they're for. I know these ones are for the smaller craft, like the little fighters, but I'm not sure about this one. But either way, I will be sort of cutting parts of this out and doing some modification. Obviously, I'll need to run some wires through the stand here and sort out how I'm going to do that. But anyway, that's the stand. Nice easy step to start with. Now the next step involves setting up what I think is the kind of structural part of the middle of the ship, sort of holds it all together, but also holds some light piping. And I want to talk about just the way I sort of do my pegs and stuff in kits like this, especially at this stage when I know I need to pull them apart and, you know, for painting or for modification later. So what I'll do is I'll check the pegs against, you can sort of see there's the matching holes for all these pegs. So what I'll do is I'll cut these pegs on an angle, and I'll go through and do that with every peg. And the reason for that is because it reduces the amount of surface area, or the amount of friction when you're trying to pull the pegs, you know, apart from each other. And so it makes it a lot easier to pull apart if you need to. The disadvantage is that, you know, if you're building this and you just want to snap it together, you don't want to glue it or anything, you just need to make sure you don't cut off too much, or otherwise the pegs become, you know, essentially useless, and you will need to use some glue. But I thought it was just worth showing you, you know, this is what I do in order to make it a little bit easier. When we get to the clear parts that are involved here, they give you 2 identical sprues. One is in this orange colour and the other one's clear. I'm going to use the clear piece because I want to light it with the some RGB LEDs, so I'm going to be using just the clear parts. Alright, so these slot in here somewhere. Then we have another very small clear piece which goes in here, and then we sandwich that all together quite carefully. So I actually like the idea that they have included all the light pipes in this kit, because it makes it a lot easier for me. So whatever lighting I can do, I can sort of slot in here. Now the next step talks about the LED sort of units that come with the kit, and the LED unit comes pretty much assembled except for the battery door. So you sort of cut out the battery door out of the sprue, and then you get a couple of screws in the kit that you can, you know, screw the lid in place, and then it's got this simple sort of button situation, which is the reason why I don't like them, because you've got to get inside the models to sort of turn them on and off. But what I will be doing, I won't be putting any batteries in, but I will be showing you how these things go together if that's the way you're going to build it. So there is a very specific way they want you to put this into, I guess what you say, its bracket. Okay, so this battery, this LED unit slots into this container here, or bracket, and you do need to make sure that it's flush at the back here, so it does sort of slot in a very particular way. And then that slides into the main chassis we have here, so it sort of just pops in like that, and then that light will feed all the way through the light pipe and come out the end. Okay, the next step is we start getting some of the hull together. So we have this bit here. We also need our chassis part we created. So they go like that. And then it looks like we use some of the red lower half of the hull. So we have sort of these bits here, they match up with the sockets on the red part. So that's one side. Need to get this in as well. This appears to lock in on the bottom. Okay. And this one locks in on the other side. So obviously I will need to deal with some seams along here, so I think these parts will end up being glued together and then I can deal with that seam on the bottom. Okay, then we have the top parts of the hull, which slot in here. It is really nice that they've separated out the parts like this. Like, looks like it's going to be a lot easier. I may be able to paint these without sort of gluing it all together first, which would be nice, although I won't know that until I've sort of finished the build. Okay, so there's quite a number of pegs that all have to line up. Just need to be careful with that. But that looks like, alright, that looks like the start of a ship, that's for sure. Okay, the next step is to fill in these gaps here. I believe this is where the wings will go, the optional environmental wings or whatever they call them. And these slot in these wing parts. So slot in there. Just push them down. It's not quite sitting flush there. Alright, so we have this bit that goes on the front. Oh, and that's really tight. I think I might trim that peg, I think. Now the reason I'm trimming this peg is because maybe a time I need to get this off again, but it's going to be straightforward to glue. So I just think, yeah, we'll take that off. Alright, what do we got? Then we've got this bit that supposedly slides in. Again, we'll see how we go, but there's quite a big gap there. I reckon it'd be worth filling. And on the other side as well. So until I've sort of worked out how I'm going to do the lighting and everything, by the look of it, I suspect that I can put a lot of the hull together, and I'll be able to sort of get in there to do all the lighting and everything while this is sort of built up. But anyway, we shall see. So then we have part of the deck, the front part of the deck, which goes on. Squeak, squeak, that horrible plastic on plastic sound. And then we have this bottom section, and we have a hatch that goes in here. We have more internal sort of lighting structures going in, but this is if you have bought the optional extra battery pack with 2 LEDs. So this does not come with the kit. need to buy this separately. But I will sort of use all these pieces just to, because they may help with the structural integrity of the rest of the kit. Okay. So if you had the LEDs set, you would have the LED go up in here, and it's sort of sandwiched in this bit here. Get that in. There we go. And the LED would sort of, you know, shine out that hole there. And we have this backing piece. And then we have a number of pieces that go in that have to go in a very specific order. So the first bit to go in looks like the clear part. Okay. So this clear part looks like it feeds into this these holes here. I see. So the light will travel down these light pipes here for some of the rear thrusters. That's cool. That's good. That's going to make life a lot easier for me than trying to put lights within the thrusters themselves. So that goes in. Then there's another one of these kind of pieces that would hold an LED if you bought the optional extra pack, and that will hold the LED in there, which would match up with that light pipe and shine out both there. So that's good. I'll be able to attach an LED directly to that light pipe, which is nice. Nice change building a kit that's actually designed for lighting. I don't do it that often. And we've got this bit which sort of holds this all in place. And I guess it provides some light blocking as well. And finally, this other LED part would be where you've got the main thruster at the back. So there's a separate unit, and then you've got the two for the smaller thrusters. It's strange, we've gone from one end of the ship, like the front, all the way to the back in just a few steps. This section here, and this will allow the wires from this from the optional battery pack, the wires would flow through here and into the main section. So looks like I've got plenty of room in here, which is really nice. Alright, and we've got some side pieces to go on. All seems to go together pretty well. Got this smaller piece which goes in first right on the back here. And we have part of the rear deck. Got these extra pieces. Which way do they go? Okay, rear flight deck, is that what that is? Okay, then we've got a couple of little smaller detail bits that go on the back here. These little parts go on the side here. I think they'll end up being glued in place. There is no need to have them painted up separately. So, then we get on to the rear engine nozzle. Okay, so the rear nozzle is made up of, you've got a clear piece, and of course you do get, if it'll focus, you get an orange version of this as well, and then you've got the center part which plugs in and is keyed, and then that lines up to the nozzle in a very specific way. Okay. Okay, so what's cool about that is you have that clear bit there that we can light up. I may have to frost that before I do that, but it's good that we've got that there. This goes a very specific way on the back. There we go. We start with the first of the small engines out the back. And again, this has got a clear piece. So it goes in there. There is a little key here that matches up with the key slot on the top here. So it goes in like that. Yep, there we go. So that feeds in. Okay, that's going to work really well. Alright, then I need to do the other small nozzle as well. You've got to feed the light pipe through that rectangular bit, and there's a peg there that sort of aligns it all properly. So it actually sort of all goes together really nicely, and I don't think I'll need to glue that. I think that'll be it should be fine as it is. Okay, then we have some fins that go on the bottom. Make sure I get these around the right way. Okay, so they slot in like that. And then join those together. Now I'm a little bit concerned about, you've got these little barbs on these bars here. So when this goes in here, and it's going to snap together. Let's see how easy it is to pull it apart again. Oh yeah, that's really good. Give you an idea how long this thing is. It is probably about 330 millimeters long. I don't know what that is in old money, sorry. So yeah, it's got a reasonable size to it, certainly bigger than what I'm used to with working with the Mecha Collie kits. Now underneath here, I assume this is where the battery pack's going to go, so I've got all this room in here. So there's really no shortage of space inside, which is good. One thing I've noticed for these observation decks here is they're just moulded straight in plastic. What I'll be doing is drilling out the windows and lighting those up as well. I think that's almost a no-brainer. I don't see why you wouldn't light those, but there is no clear bit included, so I'll have to come up with something for that. Okay, the next step is the underside of the hull, and the parts that the third deck hang off. Detail part where it goes through that hole. Make sure I've got this around the right way. Okay, and then that attaches to... Okay, it attaches that way, that's why. Okay, so there is a seam along this thing that I'm obviously going to need to fix up. And this all attaches to the bottom. There's a couple of clips here. It doesn't feel like a positive fit. Now, this is the bit that you remove to put in the battery. And I don't reckon it's really flash the way they've done it. I'd almost be inclined to put magnets in or something, just because this feels a bit... doesn't feel as though it closes particularly well. Like you can sort of see a very obvious gap there. So I think for me, if I need to open it up from that panel, I think I'll end up magnetising that. Anyway, next step is to put it on the stand. So it certainly sits on the stand perfectly well, no problems there. Okay, then we start working on the deck again, and we have these small hook parts. I'm sure they've got a proper name. They slot in here somewhere. So I'm worried about breaking the top of it, so I'm going to use a toothpick to push it down from the base of it. That's better. Yeah, so I do see the right in there, but you've just got to... You assemble another LED unit, so same thing, it's just a little door that goes on the back of it, and then there's a screw, and then that goes into... Just trying to work out which way it goes. It goes that way, I think. Okay, so this LED unit goes into this bracket here, but it doesn't sort of go all the way in. And then that fits up under here somewhere. Okay, like that. And this light, I assume, will travel all the way up into the bridge. Okay, time for some fiddly work. So there are a number of these little cannons that have to be built. They're made up with the base, and then there's two little barrel pieces that need to go in, and there is a left and right. Just be careful. If you've done like, you know, like what I've done, where you've taken them all off the sprues and cleaned them up, you do need to be aware that there is a left and right, and of course these things are tiny. Here we go. Okay, that is a small gun assembly. It is actually quite nice that they have they've separated the barrels from the base, because the barrels are a different colour. So I will be painting them separately. But I've basically got to make all these up, and then they go on deck here. They sort of go like that. So there'll be three of these. I almost think it might be worth putting these on first. That's an idea. Let's do that. Now, of course, you can sort of pose the guns. They do sort of swivel, but I don't think I'm going to be doing a lot of that. I think I'm almost just going to leave them where they land. Alright, let's see if this is any easier. Yep, I reckon that is. There you go. Tip if you're building this kit, it's actually easier to put the bases in first and then put the barrels in. So I'll go ahead and do all those. Can we say fiddly, people? Just be really careful. I had one of these cannons fly across the other side of the room, sort of pinged on the tweezers, so you know they are very small, and it looks like they will need to be glued in place. They feel a little bit loose in there, so I will have to glue them, I think. Okay, for the next part we start on parts of the bridge. Yeah, if it'll focus. Okay, I see why they got you to get the guns in first. It'd just be a bit tricky to get the guns in place after these walls are installed. And then we've got... Which way does this go? Okay, so these work the same way as the previous ones. So I think I will install the bases of them before putting the barrels in, and without flinging them across the room. Oh, that's a miracle. I didn't ping one of those across the room. So we have some even smaller guns that go on the back here, and they are keyed, so they are supposed to go a specific way. Yeah. Okay. Then we've got some bread boxes. I don't know what they are. They go on the side here. When we start on, we've got this little assembly here. These are so small, it's a bit hard to sort of tell the orientation they're supposed to go. Looks like it. Okay, so these two little bits sort of go like that. And then that goes. Oh no, there's another piece that has to go in first, which is one of the fins. So put that in first. Yeah. Like that. Alright, and then rinse and repeat for the other side. That goes there. So you start to see what's happening at the back end of the bridge or the island. And we've got this mast that's got a header piece on it. So that's just two pieces that sort of form that. It'll definitely need to be glued, I think, by the feel of it. And then we need to get this in the middle there somewhere. Next we have the little rear missile launcher. And again, it's nice to have separated these pieces out. It can make it a little bit easier to paint. Okay, let's sandwich these two pieces together. And then we sandwich the base of it together. So there's just two pieces. Now, obviously, it's going to be a seam to deal with here. And then this slots in the back. And then that goes. And this is the stage of the instructions where they ask you to sort of attach this to the rest of the ship. So let's do that. Okay, so I've just seated it from the front and then sort of moving back to get it seated properly. Still doesn't feel as though it's sitting completely flat. Anyway, I think that's something that I'll try and sort out when I disassemble it ready for painting. But you can see there's sort of a bit of a sizable gap in there. I mean, with all Bandai kits, they're made to such tight tolerances that sometimes it only takes a small bit that's sort of in the way, or a bit that's not pressed together properly. Anyway, we'll deal with that later. Okay, so put that back on the stand. Okay, start work on the bridge structure itself. Okay, so there's these little pieces that go. There's like a little L there, and it matches up with the corresponding hole in these little pieces. Okay, now there are guns that attach to these pieces, but I think it's going to be easier to put get the base on first and then put the barrels in. Okay, now we're going to try and get these guns in place. Okay, tiny little guns on the sides there. Now this piece slots in here. And then we start with the clear pieces. So we've got one for the top part. It actually pushes in a fair way, so just be conscious of that. See the travel there, you can see the light will go right up to the end of that clear piece there. Interested to see how well that actually works. And there's this other piece. I almost think I'll be maybe sticking LEDs, or trying out, see if it works. Stick an LED there and one at the top as well. There's also the top sort of observation area, which I'm not sure if that comes with a clear piece or not. It does, but it doesn't look like it will be lit up by the LED. I don't see how light can travel all the way up there. I guess we will find out. Okay, and we have this back piece here. Not sure what function that serves. Okay, and we've got the big fin. Slides in this way. So, alright. So we've got these tiny little pieces. Of course they're tiny. I thought Mecha collar kits were fiddly. They got nothing on this. Alright, we have the big communication array on the back. Something like that. We have this back piece which hopefully clamps it all in place. Looks like it does. So I'm almost wondering whether it's worth sort of doing a cast of that, doing it in UV resin and lighting that up as well as sort of a couple of, because I'm pretty sure that's like an observation dome. Yes, anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself here. Get it together first and then try and work out what lighting plans I've got. Okay, so for the very top deck, it's made up of these two pieces, and then there is a clear piece here. Yep, there we go, that's in now. The way they've set up the LEDs in the kit, there's no way this will light up, so I'm going to have to do something to light that up separately. And that goes in here. Okay, and we have a bridge. Okay, and we have, surprise, surprise, we have some more fiddly pieces that need to go in. Okay, there is this tiny little gun turret here. I believe that's what it is. But it is not holding in place, so I think I am actually going to glue that in now. And out it pops, of course. So just the tiniest bit of extra thin cement. Okay, so that bit goes there, and this little piggy goes there. See my little gun starting to pop out already. Alright, and then rinse and repeat for the other side. Yeah, it's interesting when you put these kits together, just the attention to detail is astounding. Yeah, for a kit this size. Definitely see why Bandai is a leader in plastic kit technology. So I'm sure in the design room of the designers of this ship, one of the discussions would have been, do you think we've got enough guns? No, I don't think so. I think we need more. Because it has a lot of guns on it. Alright, There we go, and then we've got more guns on the back. You do not want to leave your rear exposed. Oh, caramba. The bits hanging off this all over the place. Okay, now we get to seat it in place. So, the LED will shine up through here. Let me put this in place. Seems to seat okay in there. So, yeah, level of detail in there is pretty cool. We've still got more guns to go. I haven't put those in yet. Okay, on to the big guns. Now I suspect that the guns will elevate as you turn the turret. Because looking at these pieces, it seems like there's a lot going on for just mounting the barrels to it. So the centerpiece to put in first, and then there are a series of these, almost like paddles, I guess, with it's sort of almost like little ball joints at the end of them. But it looks like they will be guided by the track on the centerpiece. And I apologise, it's a bit tricky to see what I'm doing here. It is fiddly. You've got to sort of feed these paddle things into the holes and then get them seated on a bar that sort of runs across the turret. So we can show you up close. So you can sort of see those three little, almost look like ball joints. And then we have this base bit which sort of holds it all in place. Yeah, so these all move. And then we take this piece here and make sure we line it up properly. Yeah, that's cool. So as you turn the turret, you can see those little paddles sort of rise and fall. That's awesome. Now, I know there's a YouTuber I saw who managed to get a stepper motor to turn these things, using Arduino programming. I'm going to see if I can find something that maybe I can do that. I don't know. Again, spitballing ideas, no promise that this will actually happen or not. But the fact that you can actually just turn the turrets and the barrels will elevate is very cool. Alright, so I'll go ahead and make 2 more of those. Okay, time to put some barrels on this bad boy. These just clip in here. Just another sort of great attention to details on these barrels. They've actually drilled out the ends off them, so you don't have to do that, which is really nice. We have these pieces go on the side, and this bit goes here. And there's a back piece to kind of cover up all those joins. Cool. Now, if we turn this turret, oh, look at that. Barrels rise and fall as you turn it. That's very cool. That's very cool. Now, I'll be interested to see how well that works once I've got a couple of layers of paint on it and that sort of thing. It might not work as well as it does when it's sort of just built up straight out of the box, but still, it's a really nice little gimmick, that one. I like that. Okay, time to build some more cannons. Okay, so these barrels clip in here. These smaller guns don't have the same sort of gimmick as the larger ones, but the barrels are still posable. We have this back piece. Okay, alright, so now we have all of the sort of main cannons. The next step is to attach them. And the way they're attached, they actually have a very specific order in the instructions for it. So just be aware of that. So number 1, I say start with this front one. So that goes in there, and as it turns, you can see those barrels rise and fall. Alright, which is the next one? Next one is this one here. And then they say one of these guns go up here, and they say to do it on the side, like so, and then turn it around. And I'm guessing the reason for that is because there's no way you're going to get your fingers under this overhang here. Let's just bring those barrels up a little bit. Okay, so we have to attach these little guns here to the side. Okay. So on this back piece here, they give you 2 options. They give you one with the bay open, and then they give you an option with the bay closed, so you can pick and choose which one you want. I think for now I'm just going to put the closed one in. Right. Okay, now we can put on the rear cannon. And again, as you rotate the barrels elevate. Although this one's a little bit weird, I don't know what's going on with that one. And then we've got the smaller one on the back. Definitely look like a Yamato now. Alright, then we have to set up the catapults. So the catapults are made up of 2 pieces. The base that they're on, and then they clip in the side here, like so. And of course they do swivel. So you can pose one of the Cosmo fighters on there if you wanted. I don't know if there's one available, but I would love to build the same scale, like 1/1000 of the actual battleship. I don't know if there's one made. I know there was a 350th scale. I think there's a Tamiya 350th scale. There's probably a heap of, what are they, 700th scale ones. But I haven't seen anything in 1000 scale. I know that's not a traditional sort of boat model size, model scale. But it would be great to compare the original Battleship Yamato with the Space Battleship Yamato, because I know they messed around with the size of it, like for the show. So I think it's a lot bigger than what the actual thing it was based on was. Okay, so we've got some more guns on the side here, which are a nightmare to put in. Almost would have been better off doing that before we put the bridge in place. So that may have to be one. Remember for the future. Okay, one on the other side. It's getting tricky to sort of get purchase on anything now because there's so many bits that stick out and they're all fragile. So if I go through this build without breaking a single cannon, it will be an absolute miracle. It inevitably will happen. Okay, I'm going to put the crown on top. Little fins there. And then we start putting on some more little guns. So on these little holes in here. Okay, I am really struggling to get these in place, so I think what I might do is drill these holes out, and so it's a little bit easier to drop them in. I will be gluing them in place. There's no way I'm ever going to sort of rotate them or whatever. I will be gluing them in place, but I'm just finding they are so fiddly to get in place, and I'm starting to sort of hit other bits that are falling off. Yeah, so I think for the purposes of sort of getting this together, I think I am going to have to drill these holes out so it's a bit easier to sort of seat them in. It is incredibly frustrating. Oh boy. Now of course once it's all painted up I've got to worry about scratching paint and that sort of thing, so yeah, I reckon I'll when I come to do some modifications on the kit, drill these holes out, make it easier to drop those cannons in, and yeah, we'll be good to go for that. So sorry Yamato, you're going to be a few guns short for the time being. Alright, let's see if we have any more luck with these guns here, which all fit sort of under in here. Let's see if we can have better. Let's see if we can get these in without too much hassle. Let's see, I've already bent one of the barrels. For these ones I'd almost be inclined to cut the pegs off and just glue them in place as they are. They don't rotate or anything like that, so, but they are a bit easier to get in than some of the other guns. Okay, we have these two very small pegs go in the front here, and of course I didn't get the one on camera. Get it lined up. There we go. Okay. So there's those two little pegs there. What else have we got? We've got a couple of fins. So this one. Slots in here. We have one on the very front. That was so close. So close to getting in and it's just pinged. Alright, I'll be back, see if we can find it. Alright, nobody panic, I found it. Managed to get it in after a lot of swearing and carrying on. What else have we got on here? We've got the anchors. So the anchors in place, then we put the rear fins on. Okay, put the rear fins on. Okay, so up to the third bridge, I think it's called. Okay, so we have this piece, we have the front part. This goes in next. And then we have the bottom. Which clips in like so. Okay, I can see why you do these bits last, because the number of times I've dropped the ship now is ridiculous. So this goes on the bottom here, and then there are two fins which go on. One there, one here. Alright, now where does it sit on the stand? Something like Okay, so that's basically it. The last couple of things you've got are the fighters, which go on these really silly kind of stands. They're sort of clear plastic and they slot in like so. I think that's a bit of an overkill. I really could do with just a little bit of acrylic rod, I reckon, and stuck to the base, so I might look at an alternative for mounting those onto the base. And you do get the environmental wings, which I always thought just looked really silly, so I certainly won't be even painting those up. They'll go into the spare parts bin. But we have, okay, it's not all of it, so there are some of the smaller guns missing, but you get an idea of what it looks like. The level of detail is fantastic, if not a little bit frustrating in places. So next step is for me to go through, disassemble it. There's some parts, some of the detail parts I'll glue in place, and yeah, work out how I'm going to get all the electronics sorted. But that will be for the next video, so until then, I'll catch you later.